moving on from WWE, I did want to talk a little bit about AEW. I spoke about this on the main channel today just a little bit, very briefly. For those who don't know, Tony Khan is set to announce the new TV deal for AEW. We got some information regarding this TV deal. Now, we don't know the exact numbers of this TV deal. This will probably be one of, I'm just glad that we could kind of conclude here with the TV deal talk, because honestly, for years I've been talking about AEW's TV deal. I've been very much following all the stories. I've talked to my own sources about it. I've talked to people within the TV industry about it. AEW, Warner Bros. Discovery, I mean, it's very much a done deal at this point. Tonight, AEW is celebrating the 5-year anniversary, and Fightful Select and Beyond the Bell podcast, which is Andrew Zarian's talk show, they've reported that AEW Dynamite and Collision will be simulcasted on HBO Max starting in January. I keep calling it HBO Max. I know that's a rookie mistake because it's no longer HBO Max. It's just called Max. Dumb decision, by the way. But nobody really knew if simulcasting would be available for AEW programming. And we knew that programming would be on Max to a certain extent, but there's a couple things that have happened in recent days that made me think, okay, this is going to be part of the announcement. So for those who don't know what I'm talking about, one of the first things that you guys need to know is that Bleacher Report has removed AEW's pay-per-views and they're no longer doing them. So as of this time, until the Max streaming service becomes the new home for AEW pay-per-views, you could buy Wrestle Dream on payperview.com, you could buy it on Triller TV, you could buy it on YouTube, and you could buy it from your cable or satellite provider. But Bleacher Report is done with the AEW pay-per-views. So my belief is this, and if you guys have been watching a series of my content, then you know exactly what I'm going to say. AEW is going to have this new TV deal with Warner Bros. Discovery for 2 shows guaranteed, which will be Dynamite and Collision. I'm not factoring in Ring of Honor just yet, because I do think Ring of Honor does get on TV at some point, but I don't know if it's through Warner Bros. Discovery, okay? But we know Dynamite and Collision will both be simulcasted, so live on TBS and TNT, as well as the Max streaming service. Okay, that's cool. Great. I believe we are going to get pay-per-views on HBO, on the Max streaming service. Does that mean they're free? I don't know. Does that mean that's just the host of it? I don't know. We don't know. They're going to announce it, but I'm assuming they're going to just be rolled into it, just like WWE is on Peacock, right? But also, there's been no talks of Rampage, and then I've recently talked about how I've heard that Rampage could be going away and being replaced, which, let's just be honest, Rampage is not a valuable show for AEW. It provides no value for AEW. I don't believe Rampage provides any value for Warner Bros. Discovery. I don't think Rampage has ever really meant anything other than just extra content, and I don't think that's the content that they need. So with that being said, when I look at the whole situation with the TV deal, it makes sense that Rampage would not be simulcasted because the likelihood of Rampage being there is gone. Now, within this new TV deal, though, there is no more exclusivity with Warner Bros. Discovery, which means that AEW is able to shop out other TV deals. Now, if you follow my content, you know that I've spoken about AEW Shockwave potentially going to FS1, Tubi, or wherever else Fox may want to put it. And AEW Shockwave, one of the biggest concerns that I had was, hey, it might be a 1-hour taped show. I really don't want it to just replace what Rampage was, which unfortunately Collision doesn't even feel like a big deal anymore, let alone Rampage. So what are they going to do with Shockwave? You know what I'm saying? It's a weird thing. I think it's safe to say that Rampage is canceled. And I think with AEW Rampage being canceled and Dynamite and Collision being simulcasted on TBS, TNT, and the Max streaming app, I think it's safe to say that AEW has landed a TV deal with Warner Bros. That is not only going to make them a lot of money, but it's also just going to be a really good thing for them long term, because now they could venture off and build relationships with other providers. So I don't think we'll get Rampage coming back, but I do think we'll get to the point where Collision, Dynamite, maybe Ring of Honor, Shockwave, I think AEW is going to get to a point where they're just going to be creating a ton of content elsewhere, and then they're just going to get paid a lot of money for it, which would be really good. But But also, I think with the simulcasting, I think what's really cool about that is it does open up doors for new opportunities to gain new audience members. The Max streaming service is not one of my favorites, to be honest with you. This is just because I feel like throughout time it just lost a lot of its value. A lot of the content that I would typically watch, I don't feel like they provide much, right? Which is why it's a good thing, though, that people do have HBO Max. Like, it's a good thing that people have that streaming service, because if you don't watch AEW and you see Collision on there, like, it's going to open up opportunities for AEW's growth. But the problem is with streaming services, they cost too much money. They don't provide as much value as traditional cable does. And I'm going to say this because I genuinely believe this. I have canceled every streaming service unless I get it for free. So Netflix and I think Hulu are provided by my cell phone service for free. So therefore I have those. Apple TV comes through my cell phone provider for free. So I have Apple TV Plus. But like, it's all about creating a unique package to getting people to watch. And the reality is this: AEW being on Max does more for AEW's growth than it does for the Max streaming service growth. Like, I don't imagine Max streaming service growing a lot from AEW's point of view. I see that app helping AEW more, which is a good thing. Like, I think that's a really good thing. And for me personally, like, when I see this TV deal, we're talking maybe $200 million a year, $150 million a year. We don't know the exact numbers, but with AEW, they're getting money from not only just one TV provider, but maybe 2 or 3 TV providers. And that's really the big game changer. And look at it from another perspective. WWE has found a way to make money from Raw and SmackDown and NXT all being valuable. If I'm Tony Khan, Dynamite and Collision both need to be rebalanced. They need to have its own identity. They need to do something to make these shows feel different from each other and feel important. And I swear to God, I keep saying that. I've been saying it for years, man. But you got to do the brand split. You got to give them unique rosters. And, nobody's talking about Ring of Honor, but let Ring of Honor be its own thing. The people that are holding belts in Ring of Honor should be only on Ring of Honor television. Like, these are quick fixes that AEW can make. And then the reality is, by doing these quick fixes and by actually building a brand identity for each show, I think AEW will be very successful long term. I think right now the problem is Collision doesn't feel as important, and it's not going to feel as important because when's the last time it felt important, right? So I'm glad they're getting a new TV deal. I'm glad it's being announced. I'm glad that simulcasting is a big deal. I'm glad that pay-per-views are going to the Max streaming service. There's a lot of benefits for that. But none of that really matters from a user and viewer experience if they don't physically improve the quality of the shows. That's important, man. It's incredibly important.